Welcome back to my channel. Today, we explore the value of specific coins, the top 6 Monticello Jefferson nickel 5-cent coins, value in today's market in dollar. So, let's get started. First up, the 1995 P. Monticello Jefferson nickel, but not just any 1995 nickel, the valuable one, in good condition. How much is it worth today? Stick around to find out. First, let's take a closer look at the coin itself. The 1995 P. Jefferson nickel is part of the famous Monticello series, which has been in circulation since 1938. The 1995 version, like others, features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, Jefferson's historic home, on the reverse. But here's the kicker. If you have one in good condition, it could be worth more than you think. Now, let's talk about condition. The value of a coin depends largely on its grade. For a nickel to be considered in good condition, it typically shows noticeable wear, but the details are still recognizable. In fact, most 1995p nickels you'll find are in this range. But, even in this state, it might have a surprising value. Even in good condition, a 1995 P. Monticello Jefferson nickel is worth more than its face value of 5 cents. How much more? Well, in today's market, if your coin is in good condition, it's generally worth around 15 to 25 cents. That's right, 15 to 25 cents may not sound like a huge windfall, but considering it's still circulating, it's a nice little bonus if you happen to have one. But remember, the value can shift depending on where it's from and its overall condition. The P mint mark indicates it was minted in Philadelphia. The 1995 P is often seen in circulation, but if you come across one that's in extra fine or uncirculated condition, it could be worth a few dollars more. That's the key. Coins that are less worn and kept in good shape will always fetch a higher price. Now, the 1995 P. Monticello Jefferson nickel isn't the most valuable nickel out there. Coins like the 1939D or 1950D Jefferson nickels are much rarer and more valuable. But as always, condition is key. If you happen to have a pristine, uncirculated example of the 1995 P, you could see values approaching $1 or more. So to wrap things up, if you find a 1995 P. Monticello Jefferson nickel in good condition, it's worth about 15 to 25 cents today. But keep an eye out for higher grade coins. Those could bring in more. Always remember, when it comes to coin collecting, the more you learn about your coins, the better your chances of finding a hidden gem. Next up, the 2007 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel. But not just any 2007 nickel, we're talking about the one with the D mint mark in extra fine condition. If you've come across one of these, you might be wondering what it's worth in today's market. Let's take a closer look. Alright, let's start by talking about the coin itself. The 2007 Jefferson nickel is part of the Monticello series, and just like the other years in this series, it features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse. This specific coin was minted in Denver, as indicated by the D mint mark right next to Monticello. Now, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value, and this is where the extra fine grade comes into play. But what does extra fine mean exactly? An extra fine coin typically shows light wear, but all of the details are sharp and well defined. For the 2070 nickel, that means you can still clearly see Monticello's details and Jefferson's facial features with minimal signs of wear. It's in much better shape than coins in lower grades, like good or fine. In terms of value, this is where things get interesting. The 2007 D. Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition is worth significantly more than its face value of just 5 cents. In today's market, a 2007 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition is valued at about 20 to 30 cents. While that may not seem like a huge sum, it's still a solid increase over the face value, especially considering these coins are relatively easy to find in circulation. Of course, the value can fluctuate slightly depending on demand and the specific condition of your coin. Coins that are more pristine or those with rare characteristics might fetch a bit more. But in general, if you have one of these in extra fine condition, you're looking at about a quarter per coin. Now, let's talk about why this coin might be of interest to collectors. The 2007 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel isn't necessarily rare, but it is part of a collectible series. Plus, as coins continue to age, their value can increase, especially if they're well preserved. While there are more valuable nickels out there, like the 1950D or 1939D, the 2007D can still be a nice addition to a collection, especially if you're into modern-era US coins. If you're new to collecting, this might be one of those coins you can easily find in your pocket change, and if it's in great condition, it could be worth more than you expect. So, to sum up, a 2007 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition is generally worth A 2007 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel in extra fine condition is generally worth around 20 to 30 cents in today's market. Not bad for a coin that's still circulating. Keep an eye out for these in your change and make sure to check their condition before tossing them into your jar. Next up, the 1943 Monticello Jefferson nickel with the S mint mark and in dirty condition. Stick around to find out how much this coin is worth in today's market. First, let's quickly review the basics. The 1943 Jefferson nickel was minted during World War II, and it's unique for a few reasons. It was made out of 35% silver due to wartime metal shortages, which gives it a bit of a different composition than other nickels. On the front, you've got the classic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, and on the reverse, you see Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home. The S mint mark tells us it was minted in San Francisco, and that's key to its value. Now here's the catch. When it comes to coins, condition matters a lot. A coin in mint or near mint condition can fetch much higher prices than one that's been heavily circulated, or, in this case, one that's in dirty condition. Even though this 1943 Jefferson nickel may have seen better days, it still has some value because of its rarity. Dirty or worn-down coins don't always go for top dollar, but they're far from worthless. So, how much is a 1943 S Monticello nickel worth today? Well, in typical circulated condition with some dirt and wear, you're probably looking at around $2 to $5. Not bad for a coin that's almost 80 years old. However, here's where it gets interesting. If the coin is in better condition, say fine or very fine, you could see values rise significantly, possibly up to $10 to $15. And for coins in excellent condition or with unique characteristics, prices can go much higher, sometimes even in the $50, $100 range. If your 1943 nickel has significant wear or dirt, don't worry. That doesn't mean it's worthless. But if you've got one in decent shape, it's always worth having it professionally graded. A professional grader can assess its true value based on its condition, and that could increase its price in the market. Remember, the rarity of the S mint mark can also add value, especially if the coin is harder to find. So, even a dirty 1943 Monticello Jefferson nickel with an S mint mark still has some solid value in today's market. ranging from a couple bucks to more depending on its condition. If you have one lying around, it's definitely worth taking a second look. Next up, the 1965 Monticello Jefferson nickel, specifically one without a mint mark and in a black color shade condition. Stick around to find out how much this coin is worth in today's market. Let's start with a quick overview. The 1965 Jefferson nickel is part of the classic series featuring the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his Virginia home, on the reverse. It's important to note that the 1965 nickel is one of the last years of the coin being struck in the traditional nickel composition before some later changes. One thing to remember, this coin doesn't have a mint mark, which means it was minted in Philadelphia. Unlike other years where a mint mark shows the minting location, 1965 was the last year where many coins were made without this mark. The black color or darker tone is usually caused by environmental factors like oxidation, tarnish, or even dirt buildup over time. It's not a minting error or a special feature, but rather the result of exposure to certain conditions that affect how the coin ages. Coins that develop this dark or black appearance may be considered toned, but this doesn't always make them more valuable. So, how much is a 1965 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark, in black color shade condition, worth today? Well, in its typical circulated condition, even with the darkened appearance, you're looking at about 10 to 50 cents. The black color doesn't necessarily add value unless it's a unique, collectible tone that someone finds aesthetically pleasing. Now, if your coin is in great shape despite the black color, and you can see some of the original detail, the value might be closer to the higher end of that range. But let's be clear, this isn't going to turn into a high-value coin just because of its black hue. However, there are certain cases where a black-toned 1965 nickel could be worth more than average. If your coin has rare or interesting toning patterns, like a rainbow effect or unique color gradients, that could catch the eye of collectors who appreciate toned coins. In these cases, you might see the value rise to $5 to $10 more, depending on the collector demand for toned coins. But remember, these types of coins are not common, and unless the toning is extremely striking, most blackened coins won't fetch much more than face value or a little above. So, if you've got a 1965 Jefferson nickel in black shade condition, it's likely worth somewhere between 10 cents to $1, with a few exceptions depending on the unique nature of the toning. If you think your coin has more to it than meets the eye, it's always worth checking with a professional coin dealer or getting it graded. Make sure to keep an eye out for rare toning patterns, as they could make your nickel more valuable than expected.